Welcome to the Nova Wealth Show. I am your host, Amy Novakovich.
And I'm Jim Novakovich. We're a husband and wife team and co-founders of Nova Wealth Management.
We also teach you how to build wealth, advise you how to keep it, and how not to get taken advantage of. So let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to the Nova Wealth Show. I'm Amy Novakovich. This is Jim.
Hi.
We are coming to you from Las Vegas. Actually, we're in our hotel room with these funky drapes behind us, so we thought we would do a podcast. Why not? So thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Nova Wealth Management. Management's abbreviated MGMT. I'm at Novakovich Amy and at Jim Novakovich. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do quick 90-second video tips on there. Also, on our website, we have a ton of resources, www.novawealthmanagement.com, and like us on Facebook. We post daily little fun tips there. Jim, can I ask you a question?
Of course. That's why we're here.
What are some things that you can do with your money? Like, what's one thing? If I have $1, what's one thing that I can do with it?
Spend it.
Good. Spend it. What's another thing?
Save it.
Save it. And I'm thinking there's one more. You might think of more, but I think there's three.
Well, saving and investing, I'd say, are the same.
No.
All right, so you can save it,
Invest.
pay off debt. You can pay off debt.
Okay, so
There's
that's
lots
a
of
fourth.
things you can do with your money.
So when you have money, you have choices. Whether you like it or not, you always have a choice, always, with what you do with your money. So we're going to help you today to make the right choices and develop good habits and not do the bad habits that actually not only don't help you but lose you money. So we're going to talk about those things today. All right?
Yes.
What are some bad habits that you have? Write this down. I'm asking you. Write this down, because if you are listening to this podcast, you might be in a car, but I want you to at least, if you can, write it down. Some bad habits that you think you have. So we're going to talk about some of the main bad habits that people have, but also some habits that you may not know you have that are bad. What are some bad habits?
I'd say most people just spend too much money. They spend more money than they bring in sometimes.
And I would say another bad habit is not knowing what you're even spending it on. Credit cards and debit cards today make it so easy to just blow money.
That's true.
You don't even know what you're spending it on. So what's the first step that you think someone should do to make sure that they don't start bad habits?
If they already have the bad habits and they're trying to correct them, is that what you're saying? Or just to avoid bad habits?
What's the first thing
Either
they
way.
can do to avoid a bad habit? Yeah. To avoid developing a bad habit.
Yeah, I think taking an inventory of what you have.
Take an inventory. That's great.
How much money comes in, how much money's coming in each month, how much money's going out, and where it's going.
Right. And we talk about the specifics. Actually, we have a debt course that we're releasing this summer in 2018.
Summer? It's going to take that long?
Doing those edits is really tough.
Right. We're going to try to get it out quicker than this summer.
But we talk about in details and taking an inventory of what you have and how to easily, because I don't want you to think this takes a ton of time. This doesn't take a ton of time. You write down what bills you have, actual bills, what are you obligated to pay, what assets you have that, define an asset. Assets
anything
could
you
appreciate,
own of value.
anything that you own of value. Right. So take an inventory of your assets, and then also write down money you have coming in, net of taxes, and money that includes any money right now that you're saving. I just want to know the money that you have coming in the door. I don't know what are you doing with it yet. I'm having a hard time talking today. Good thing this is on video too, by the way. You can go to the Wooditch network and check out the video version of this podcast, The Nova Wealth Show. So, talking about bad habits. First thing you need to do to not develop a bad habit, then we'll talk about some of the bad habits, is to take an inventory of what you have. Write down your bills, write down your assets, and write down what income you have coming in. Some of the bad habits that I think are, and you mentioned one of them already, spending beyond your means.
Mm-hmm. Very common.
Another bad habit is not knowing where your money is going, not knowing where you're spending it.
Yeah, I think lots of families eat out 5 days a week, and they always say, I don't have enough money to save, or I don't have enough money to pay down the debt. And if they did an inventory of where they're spending, if they stopped eating out, I think they would be way better off.
You think that McDonald's is cheap, or that a dollar coffee is cheap. But
a dollar coffee is pretty cheap.
But listen, Jim, when you buy a $7 thing of Folgers, and how many cups of coffee do you get out of that? It's not cheap.
Yeah.
That's my point. You think that you're doing the right things, and these are bad habits. This is a bad habit to eat out. To go, if you're trying to save money, if you're trying to really get a hold on your money, don't get caught up into this whole, oh, a dollar coffee is really great. Well, that's good in comparison to a $4 coffee, but it's not the cheapest way to go. Buying your own stuff at home is the way to go. Buying a loaf of bread and a jar of jelly and a jar of peanut butter.
Well, you have to prioritize. If it's important for you to get out of debt, or if it's important for you to save,
so that's a great.
You gotta find some place to cut, and that's usually the best place we find that people can cut.
And there's two sets of people here, right? There's the set of people that don't know any better. They don't have a lot of money. They live paycheck to paycheck. They're just not sure. So we're talking to you in how to develop good habits, what you should do with your money. You know, it's not necessarily your fault that you don't know what to do with your money. I'm not yelling at you as a mom. I'm good at that.
Sometimes it sounds like you're yelling at them. I was just thinking that, actually.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking it too.
Yeah, I think you probably were.
So I'm not yelling at you. But then there is the group of people that maybe does already have a chunk of money. They have some saved. They have enough income coming in. And you know who I'm talking about too. There's a lot of people that have a great income and don't do the right things with their money. And you are going to regret it later, let me tell you. When you get to be 60, or all of a sudden you can't work, or you lose a spouse, or whatever happens in your life, because life happens, you're going to regret blowing all that income. Just put yourself first. Just do me a favor and put yourself first, and take that income and put it into one of your buckets, which is saving, getting out of debt, putting it towards debt, or investing. Instead of spending, just pay your bills for now.
Hopefully, who are we talking to? Are we talking to millennials? More millennials for this talk?
I think so, because...
Well, let's steer the conversation in that direction.
Let's go towards
So
millennials.
let's talk about... We decided to do a podcast now because we were talking about what we were going to do on the live.
Well, we're in Vegas, and we thought it'd be a better decision to do a podcast than to go do other stuff in Vegas.
So...
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since we've done a podcast.
That's true, too.
So instead of let's talk about what we were talking about before we turned the camera on. You went camera mode, and now you're... I feel like we're not... So we're going to do a live later today. And this will be in the past. It doesn't matter, but...
I was going to say that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's talk about that.
Okay,
what were we
go.
talking about? You
Bad
were asking...
habits.
Oh, bad habits.
Yeah.
That's the topic for today.
Yes, I was talking to you about how do you... Some people have bad habits that they developed from their parents. You know, whether it's bad spending or not knowing...
Oh, yeah. Well, we talked to a millennial yesterday.
Yeah.
And she asked about the bad habits from our parents?
Well, she just said her parents are one of the people that say, you know, you're so young. Like, she didn't even consider saving her money. She's in her 20s. And she just said she never even considered. I don't know, now that I think about it, I don't know for sure if she said she learned that from her parents. I think that was an example. I don't know that specifically if she learned that one from her parents. But she was just saying some of the bad habits that we learn, that we get into this rhythm, and we don't know how to, A, get out of that bad habit, and B, how to implement the good habits.
Yeah, because who we spoke to yesterday, she's 25 years old and...
has a great job.
Great job, but I don't think she's saving. I think she said she wasn't saving.
She didn't even consider that she should be saving her money because she's like, I'm so young, I've got time. But it's like, think. Some of us start working we started working very young. Like 15, I started working at like 13. At 25 years old, you could have been saving for 10 years. You can't get 10 years back.
Right, they don't think of that. And I guess the bad habits, because of our parents, a lot of the couple generations before us, they just saved in their 401k. If they had a retirement plan, they
Right.
saved there, or they just
Yeah.
used Social Security or a pension.
Or a pension.
They didn't
is a
really,
big difference.
they didn't do above and beyond saving.
Right.
So the message I think we want to get out there to millennials is time is so important, and if you the earlier you start, the better it'll be for sure.
Well, and a lot of us go through different things with our parents. So my parents went through a bad divorce when I was 16. So then I see my mother living paycheck to paycheck. She actually kind of still is. Not kind of, she is. And I see the awful habits. She says every day she needs a Diet Coke from Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
It's like $2. You have no money.
Yeah, you
Like,
can buy a 12-pack for $5 or whatever.
Yeah,
it
it drives me crazy. And then she says she has no money. Or she's constantly just spending it. Like she called me, what size is Hope? Our daughter is Hope. And she calls me and says,
Well,
what size is Hope?
Yeah, no, she just wants to buy her grandkids
But
things.
she's just blowing money. I tell her our kids don't need clothes. If you're going to buy them something they need, ask me what they need, but they definitely don't need clothes.
Yeah.
So that's my point. She just wants to spend money. So some people just have that bad spending habit. They just want to spend money. Like, how do you get out of that bad habit? I know.
I mean,
have
some people are. You just can't fix some people.
No,
but,
I have an idea.
Okay, well.
It's pretty intense. You take cash out of the bank and you live off of your cash.
Oh.
Instead of cut up your debit card, cut up your credit card.
Well, if you can't pay off your credit card at the end of each month, then you shouldn't have it because
Right.
you don't want to carry
Don't
credit
be
card
paying
debt.
interest.
Because that interest will kill you. It's almost some credit card debt is 20%.
Well, and we have a Get Out of Debt podcast that we did a while back that talks about that and how to get out of debt. So listen to that podcast if you're looking on how to get out of debt. But that's definitely a bad habit that people have is not putting their money in the right places, and then all of a sudden they're in debt.
Right.
And that's one way that you can do it is by not paying off your credit card balances every month. That's a really bad habit. Bad. Bad.
I think it's bad.
So, okay, we're talking about bad habits. And A, how to get out of these bad habits. Well, no, sorry. A, what are the bad habits? B, how to get out of these bad habits and how to develop the good habits. So we've talked about some of these bad habits that people have over and over and over again. It's the spending. It comes down to spending and not making the right choices with spending. It comes down to debt and not making the right choices on what debt to pay off. And also not investing your money. Who do you know? I can't think of one, honestly. Short of like inheriting a bunch of money that gets to where they really want to be when they retire by just saving on their own, like not investing. Do you know what I'm saying? Not investing in anything and just saving on your own to get to where you want to be in retirement. Nobody that I know of. Again, unless you inherit a ton of money.
Or you create a great business and.
That's investing though, and you invest in a business. But again, that's not even a great plan too. How many business owners do we know that do build a great business? But you are the business, and you say that's your retirement plan. And I'll just sell the business when I retire. It's hard to work out. It's hard to be the value of this. It's hard to get the value that you want if you're not going to be in the business.
Yeah, a lot of people are their business, so that plan doesn't usually work for a lot of people because there's no value there if they're not running it. So
if you're planning on starting your own business or you own your own business and you're thinking that is your retirement plan, I would go as far as to say you're wrong. You're doing that's a bad habit. That's a bad thing to do to get into is that my business is my retirement. You have to have other buckets.
depends on the business, but you should always have other buckets.
You should always have other buckets.
Yeah.
So let's summarize. So we've got the bad habits.
The big ones, if we're talking more directly to millennials, the big one is staying out of debt. Either getting out of debt
Good.
or just staying out of debt. That's step one, I think.
Staying away from debt.
Right. And if you can't, you brought up a good point about just maybe having, if you're going to spend $300 a week or $100 a week or whatever the number is, put it in your pocket and spend that instead of the credit card.
If you have a problem spending money.
Yeah. If you can't pay off that credit card at the end of every single month, then try that cash route. That's a great suggestion.
Good. Yeah, so staying out of debt. watching your spending, and the way that you can really know how much you can spend is by taking an inventory of what you currently have. Take an inventory of your current payments.
That's step one.
That is step one. Take an inventory of your assets and an inventory of how much income you have coming in. And then another bad habit is spending and just thinking that eating out is cheap. That dollar coffee, that, oh, they have 2-for-1 Red Bulls or 2-for-1. Yeah, 2-for-1 Red Bulls, but they're still $2.50 each. It's just like, I mean, it's not that cheap.
So where can people start saving super cheap? Like a Fidelity or a
Yeah, any bank you can open a savings account.
No,
but then
but I'm talking investment account.
Fidelity, E-Trade, Scottrade, Ameritrade. There's so many.
And there's probably free
usually
ETFs
like free trades
that they could do.
Usually. Or they'll give you like a promotion.
You want to look for those. You want to look for like a free, no transaction cost.
If you go to like any of the finance websites, you go to like a CNBC or an eMoney, there's ads.
All over the place.
All over the place that will give you free trading on the first 500 trades. Or I'm making it up, but whatever. There's ads to give you an incentive to open an account there. Look for those ads and open an investment account and contribute systematically, just like $50 a week. Just something. And if you're extra young, the earlier the better. You're never going to look back and say, oh, I regret starting saving so soon.
Yeah, you'll be happy you did it.
You'll so be happy that you did it. And especially when you want to go buy that first home or buy your first car or when you go to get married, whatever. You're going to want to have money and you're going to be so happy that you saved. So that's an easy way to break that bad habit, is to start systematically, monthly, putting in money into an investment account.
And if you want us to run some illustrations for you, just how can they find us?
Yeah, just go to our website. Go to novawealthmanagement.com and go to the Contact Us button. There's a page, then there's a button. Both. You can scroll to the bottom and contact us.
And we can run numbers like if you wanted to save $25 a week for, the next 10 years at a given whatever return, a 7% return, what would that look like for you? We could run those numbers. And
that's good for people getting close to retirement, too. If you're about 5-10 years out from retirement and you want to know what your retirement looks like, let us run you the numbers.
Yeah.
So we can start getting some of your bad habits in check right now and implementing good habits to get you where you want to be in retirement. We can run those numbers easily, just cash flow, even without like return. If you just want to see what your income would look like with what you have now, let us tell you. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's
Knowledge is power. You got to know. If you don't know where you stand,
so that's another tip.
How are you going to get to reach your goal? So
run the numbers, or have somebody
and
run
have
the
a
numbers
goal
for you. Oh, that's another good.
Yeah,
that's a concept.
That's maybe step 2. Step 1, take an inventory. Step 2, have a goal, and then
write down your goals. Get specific with your goals.
Yeah. So, all right, very good.
Very good, everybody. You have an awesome day. We're gonna keep doing these podcasts. Are we gonna do weekly?
We're gonna try.
We're gonna try to do every other week because right now it's been like 4 weeks since we've done a podcast. So we are sorry.
We'll stay on it.
I'm going to be on it.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining the Nova Wealth Show, and we will see you next time, or you'll hear us next time.